I recently got invited to some press events for the Chicago Auto Show, and I wanted to take you guys along with to kind of show how media events go on. It's a little behind the scenes action. So, on February 8th, I hopped in my Mazda and headed towards Chicago. I first passed over a very meaningful milestone and arrived at the Hyatt Hotel connected to the McCormick Convention Center. Now, pulling up to these media events is always interesting because not only do you see interesting cars, but they're all on either manufacturer or out-of-state plates because most of them are press cars. I'll cover press cars in another video. I took the elevator down to this rather swanky hotel where I awaited a shuttle. Once on the shuttle, we headed over to basically a wedding venue. Now, I was invited by Toyota to the Grand Highlander world premiere. They were announcing a brand new SUV, and they invited me. There was a speech by some Toyota reps, and of course pulling the sheet off of the Toyota itself. The whole event was really cool. I got to see a lot of friends and talk to people, meet people in the industry, as well as of course explore a brand new car to the world, which I had never done before. Now, I did know that they were going to announce this car, so I want to pause the video here and talk about embargoed information. So, when you're in the media world or journalism world, you will sometimes get sent embargoed information, meaning usually a Dropbox of pictures, specifications, videos, B-roll footage, all of a new vehicle. However, you are not allowed to share it until a specified time. At this point, it was the night of February 8th. So they sent it to me about a week early. So I got to know what the car looked like, the specs of the car, and all of that stuff before it was announced to the world. That is commonly referred to as an embargo, and often when an embargo lifts, a lot of YouTubers will post videos at the same time. That's why your subscription box will often look like this on a certain day, because that just means the embargo lifted at that time. You can see all of these videos were posted at almost the exact same time. That's because the embargo for the Honda Accord was lifted at that time. It's a way to give journalists like a kind of an equal playing field and whatever. But back to the event, it was really cool. They had this sort of Pimp My Ride Grand Highlander that was decked out with Nintendo stuff. They had free food, they had free drinks. I had this alcoholic drink called the Grand Highlander that was absolutely terrible. Well, because I just hate alcohol anyway. And then I got on the bus to head back to the hotel. Saw this cool Saturn and got back to my car, and I actually drove to Lincoln Park to stay with a friend overnight because the auto show was the next day. After about 5 hours of sleep, I woke up, got ready, and my friend Madison, who I stayed with, drove me to my car because it was pouring rain. Shout out to her. Got in my car at the beautiful time of 6:58 and headed over to the convention center. In the morning was the Mama Breakfast. Now, I want to stop again and talk about Mama. Mama is the Midwestern Automotive Media Association. I recently joined it back in November, and it's a fantastic group. It's not only journalists and media personnel, but it's also people from manufacturers. I met the head of media for Jeep, Dodge, and Ram. I talked to some executives at Mazda. Our keynote speaker was from Hyundai. And so there were some speakers. We obviously had some breakfast before the day started. After the Mama Breakfast, I met up with my friend Tyler to say hello. Please go subscribe to him. And then I headed into the show after my brother and dad arrived. The rest of the show was pretty easy stuff. What's really nice is that there's 2 media days at the beginning of the Chicago Auto Show where only media people can enter. You have to get accepted through your media credentials, and that means that the show floor is pretty empty. We did do a bunch of ride-alongs for Toyota, Ram, Jeep, and Ford, which were all a bunch of fun. I, of course, did see a couple of old faces, like this Willys Jeep that I actually reviewed here on the channel from Jeeps on the Run, which was pretty cool. There was also this amazingly camouflaged Jeep Wrangler, some EVs driving around, and of course, Camp Subaru. They do an amazing job every year with just the scenery at their booth, as well as they always bring puppies that you can adopt and take home yourself. After several hours of shooting, and we actually did make a big friggin' bottle test video. If you haven't already seen that on the channel, please go check that one out after this. I walked back to my car and I headed home. It was a very long 24 hours, however, it was really, really cool. And if you do have any questions about media or getting into journalism or getting invited to these events, please leave it in the description below. But that was my 24 hours with the Chicago Auto Show.